Okay, good morning, good morning. Just thought I would do a live. I kind of advertised this one. I usually don't. So that put me in some kind of a schedule. Okay, so we're going to talk about the collective agreement and how it's manifested itself and how people are just taking it for granted. And then we're going to talk about how many of us fell. So I'm going to go ahead and notify viewers. Please share the live. If you can, share the live. If you can, I get it. And I'm going to share the live with me. I'm waiting for people to get on. And if you can share the live, because I did get flagged again, which is shocking. I don't know why. But anyway, so the conversation is going to be about, and everything I talk about is connected to twin flame journeys, twin flame and twin ray, all of it, okay? And I need people to understand that, because people are so into the Ken and Barbie story, like la la Lulu, oh my God, let me get the nectar. And the road is riddled with a nectar and stones, and it's almost like walking on glass with bare feet sometimes, okay? So there's a lot of shit we need to understand on an individual and collective level so that we can get some shit done fast, because we don't have a lot of time, okay? This year, some of you are so highly sensitive and empathic that you're feeling the urgency. I was just talking to a masculine yesterday, a mutual friend of me and Andromeda's, and he was saying he felt this urgency, but he couldn't understand what it was. And I fucking broke it down for him. And what I said to him is, because 2024 is the pinnacle turning point, we are at a crossroad moment where what we do politically, what we do spiritually, what we do individually, collectively, is going to set up the next 25 years. And we fucking know it. We know it on a deep core level. And it's shaking us up. So there's an urgency, but the thing is, don't run around with like a chicken with its head cut off. See, that's the problem. Don't do that. You got to center and ground yourself. People say to me, I'm just going to be blunt, okay? I don't want any sympathy, or I don't need it. People know that on July 19th, my beautiful divine twin ray dropped his body, okay? And they're like, why? Like, how are you doing these lives with this kind of strength? Well, because I also know that the nectar, see, when we have these twin flame incarnations and these incarnations, we actually have the no offense, the stupidity, okay, to think that this is it. This incarnation is it, because we've been trained through incarnations in the 3D realm with the ideologies and the propaganda and the suppression of the 1%. That's why I give you movies to rewatch with transcendentalize. And the nectar that I'm looking at with my twin is there. My next incarnation, when I die, what you call death, right, will be my next incarnation in reunion with my twin. So there's that nectar. Everything we built isn't just for the immediate now. It is for also, it's like saving. It's like putting money in your piggy bank. But you're putting spiritual investments into other realms, other existences, other incarnations. Now let's move right into the collective. And by the way, when I talk, know that I'm channeling, so I'm not looking down at the phone to see what you're saying, not yet, but I will. I promise. I'll read your comments. Okay, now let's look at the collective. And let's look at how the universe is so in our face, and yet we still don't see it on the collective, how blind we are. And just think about how you used to think about your existence 10 years ago, and how ignorant we all were, and how you can't even believe that you believed in half the shit. You believed in half the rhetoric, and now you've awakened on multiple levels of your consciousness, and you're like, fucking, I can't even believe I'm who I am today. And you're grateful for it, right? Okay. So what happens that the universe gave us a hint of the power of the collective. It's gonna blow your mind. Just close your eyes. Do you guys know who Bethany Frankel is? I think it's Frankel, whatever. Do you know who Sharon Stone is? Do you know who Tina Turner was when she was alive in her 60s? I'm giving you names of women, mostly women. Why? Because mostly women are the ones listening to me. God bless you, brothers who are listening. In the 1930s, 40s, 50s, there was a protocol all over the world where as you hit your 50s, you would get your teeth removed. I don't know if you know that. You would get your teeth removed and you would be 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s. When you saw a woman or a man in their 50s, they look like, comparably, they look like what we would call a person who's in their mid 70s, 75. All of them look like that. My grandmother at 50 looked like she was in her 70s. They look like shit because it was a collective agreement that aging looked like that. That to age looked like gray hairs, saggy skin, not being fit, massive varicose veins, no muscle tone, no libido, no verve for life, no passion. You didn't hear of couples running up the hill in their 70s and their 60s and fucking in the open space of a forest. You didn't hear that shit because it wasn't happening. And then bit by bit, the collective agreement became where women like me at 45, I was being carted at Trader Joe's to buy a bottle of wine. Carted, like I was under age. At 45, I looked like I was, and I know that's your story. You look like you're like maybe in your late 20s, early 30s. Now at 62, and I have weight to lose, to be honest, because it's been a journey. But I look like I'm probably in my 50s, like mid 50s. When I lose weight, when I'm in shape, when I'm really, and that's something I'm doing, at that point I look like, I'm in my late 40s, okay, at 62. Lena Horne, when I first saw her at 66, looked like she was 45. Beautiful 45. So what I'm trying to say to you is the collective agreement is that aging doesn't have to look like that anymore. This idea that at 55 you shouldn't have the best sex in your fucking life is no longer an acceptable conversation, right? So this lust for life, this incredible excitement of life and how it's making us collectively age is showing us the power of our collective agreements on a process in 3D. Do I have you so far? Do you get what I'm saying? So when we collectively agree that aging is no longer going to be part of our clock, in other words, there are planets where people, sentient beings, don't age. They hit 32, 33, they hit their prime, whatever that looks like for them, whatever that, and then it stops. And then they live 175 years. There's a place in the steppes of Russia, 60 Minutes had done a show in the late 80s, I'll never forget, where they had men, grown-ass men and women, who were 125 years old, who looked like what you call 75. And they were in massive shape, hiking, having children, having babies. Okay? This concept of menopause and losing our ability to bleed, for example, is a collective agreement. It isn't a reality because we know there are women right now having babies at 62. Nothing's shut down. They're having babies and healthy ones. Okay? So what that shows me personally, and I want to share that with you, and it's exciting to me, is that, and then right after that, I'm going to talk to you about how some people fall from 6D to 3D. I'm going to tell you a story. So what happens is now that we know that, now that the universe showed us a visual, right, proof of when we are in a collective agreement, how it manifests in 3D in the material world, then what does that tell you? It means that we can fucking agree on anything. So if we have a collective agreement that the end of the world is coming, that we're going to live like mad masks, that we're going to have to survive like animals and, fight each other for gasoline and food and seeds and this, that will be the reality that we collectively agree. Does that make sense? So if we collectively agree that the new earth is upon us, that the ascension is upon us, that health and abundance and no wars, no famine is upon us, that this is our new collective agreement, that this is the reality we're going to generate, then it will be so. And that's the urgency. And that's why you're hearing people talking about the split of 5D and 3D and shit like that's happening. And so I hope this makes sense. Any questions or comments on that one? Let me read you. Let me see. Any questions or comments? Hi from the UK. Awesome. I'm 45 and look 35. Exactly. Hello. I'm going to lurk while I'm at work. I love that. I'm going to lurk while I'm at work. Good morning, Tony. Sending you peace and love. Absolutely agree. So it makes sense, right? Okay. So now do you understand the power of the collective? And now do you understand the 1% fuckery on us? Okay. Now I'm going to tell you a story. And this is a story that happened yesterday. So, you guys know I do Akashik readings, okay? Now put on your little tinfoil hats because we're about to go on a journey. That's very woohoo. So, a woman was one of the founders. It's the second client I've had in 2 years where it was in a 2-year scope that I can, focus on. That came up as one of the Atlantean founders. Okay, so she was an Atlantean founder. She founded Atlantis with her, and probably 100,000, over 100,000 souls came in to create Atlantis, the golden age of Atlantis, before it fell. And then apparently she wasn't there when it fell, obviously, because there was a golden age of probably 1,000, 2,000 years, and then boom, and then suddenly I got the download of 3,000 years ago. And so she was from another planet. You would call her African. For the term of this conversation, we're going to call her African. But clearly she wasn't from Africa because she came from another planet. And so she was actually coming onto this planet as a healer. And she was a healer where she would click. So she would have the human that she was trying to save, because they were having a plague. There was a massive plague on the planet. And these people were coming down from another planet to heal these people, okay? And there was a plague. And I saw in the background pyramids, but I can't vouch that it was Egypt. I can't. But the pyramids looked Egyptian. I'll say that. And we know that there's tons of shit under the ocean. We know that there's been all kinds of massive changes and cataclysm on the planet. So God knows those pyramids could be under the ocean by now. I don't know. But they look like that. And I saw her, and she would do a clicking sound, which one of my clients just told me, yeah, that's something they do in some African tribes. But she was doing clicking sound, and from her throat chakra was coming up 2 voices. So so imagine whales and dolphins using a sonar frequency. And she would send out this frequency from her throat chakra, kind of like wrapping the person around with this frequency coming from her throat chakra. And she could pinpoint what was the illness. Like I said, it was a plague. But the plagues affect different organs and different systems at different points, right? Everyone gets ill, like everyone gets cancer, but it's a different cancer. It's the best way I can explain it. So anyway, so she was doing that, and then she would smell them. I could see her smelling behind their ears, like walking around and inhaling their scent to see what was going on, so she could pinpoint what to focus on. And then she would start touchless healing. Like what you see your experiences with Reiki, how they levitate their hands above you and they're sending light codes to you, your Reiki codes. Okay, like that, but something much more intense. So she was in a 6D consciousness creation, so forth, whatever, right? 6D, maybe even higher. I don't know, but I'll just say the very minimum 6D, right? And then I suddenly saw these olive-skinned, bearded, greasy-haired thugs, these that just were coming through, ripping through. The movie you need to look at, by the way, it's totally off topic, but on topic in terms of the brutality, and it's important, the brutality of highly advanced societies. Watch the movie Agora with Rachel Weisz. Agora. It's going to be very important to you, because at the end of the movie, there's something that happens. Let's go back to my client. So here's this high priestess healer. Here are these men coming in. And they actually tear her from limb to limb. It's making me think of Plato's parable of the cave. Tearing her from limb to limb. She's like, when she sees them coming at her, she's in shock because they're here to help. Right? They're here to heal their people. But these men come in and barrel in and grab her. And she's like deer in the headlights, shock. Then something she's never felt before, fear hits her as she's dying. And she plummets because of fear coming in. As she's in the death throes, in the trauma, being ripped to pieces, she goes from 6D and plummets, boom, into 3D. Boom, lights out. That's it. She's in 3D. And I know how I fell, okay? I know how I fell, and it's a very woohoo story as well. But I'm not going to bore you with that story. I'm going to tell you this. It hit me this morning, really hit me, that we need to eventually all learn how we fell. Because clearly some of us didn't fall in Atlantis. I didn't fall in Atlantis. When I say we fell in Atlantis, I say it as a collective, kumbaya, peace out. We're together in this, brother and sister. But no, I didn't fall in Atlantis, okay? I fell before Atlantis, to be honest with you. I fell before Atlantis meaning I fell to a certain level of consciousness, and Atlantis being 5D, I'm pretty sure we're agreeing on that. 5D, I fell from like high dimension to 5D and then continued falling to 3D. Does that make sense? But nowhere did I fall in Atlantis. That was not the moment. So for her, 3,000 years ago, imagine, she was in a high frequency state and a match to incarnating off this planet. Does that make sense? I know what I'm saying is really woohoo, but you gotta have to wrap your head around beyond this idea that, you know, there's little green men coming off ships with tinfoil suits. Okay, that's not it. Okay. And so when I told her that, and imagine this is a woman 3D with her tiptoes in 4D. Just imagine, okay, the mind fuck that gave her. And I said to her, you need to read The Emerald Tablets by Billy Carson. You need to read Zachariah Stitchin's The 12th Planet. And The 12th Planet is Sumerian text translated in the 1950s. I believe I'm correct, if not the 40s, the 50s. And my twin turned me on to that. He read every fucking book from Zachariah Stitchin. And all the bullshit of Darwinism and we came from monkeys and all that. Bullshit. Not a fact here in hell. The 19th century did more fuckery in our human history consciousness and literally changing names, like calling Egyptians Occidental people and trying to take Egypt out of Africa, shit like that. Just fuckery after fuckery. Agreeing on the Darwinistic theory. Freud coming in with his fucking psychopathic shit. Just fuckery after fuckery. 19th century was a very damaging time, and you can't really trust archaeologists and historians from the night. You can't trust them. You can't. You have to try to go back beyond. And Zachariah Stitchin comes in with his Sumerian tablets translation. It's not woohoo. He simply took ancient writings from the Sumerian, people and translated it, and suddenly we're hearing about Enki and Enlil and Thoth and how they came and created the human race as we know it today. We have to change quickly our belief system into religious, orthodox teachings that have taught us to suppress our downloads and to run from our awakenings. Many, many times we've had the opportunity to awaken and we've run from it. So this client, I called her up because I could feel the vibration, and I checked. I always check on my clients, but typically after hypnotherapy, not an Akashik reading. But I knew, and I said, "How are you feeling?" I woke up shaky. I go, "Yeah, you're spiritually releasing toxins." And then I called her. I gave her the video on Make Fear Your Ally. I go, there are two types of fears. One fear is, oh God, I'm down this alleyway. There's this man. It's scary. Let me run like hell. And you run. Yeah. Bodily harm it could be upon you. So that's a good fear. Get the fuck out of here. And then there's transformational fear. And that's when your monkey mind and your body starts fucking it's going for example, I'll give you an example. I'm going to give you my example. So I've been married 27 years. And I'm about to meet my twin after 27 years of separation. Yeah. And I'm in the airport. I'll never forget. It's 6:30 in the morning. I'm in the airport and I start shaking because I know I've never cheated on my husband. I've never done. Our marriage is over. Okay. I'm just going to. And I'm sitting in the airport going, and I want to run. I want to run back. I want to grab the cab. I want to go back home. And I was shown a lioness who had been harmed, wounded, and healed. And she was in a cage. And the cage was being opened. And then it was open. And she would not leave the cage. And I said, Tony, leave the fucking cage. Get on that goddamn plane. And that's what I did. So when you're going through a massive transformation, yes, you're going to shake. Because your monkey mind is so used to the status quo of your existence and your consciousness that you're about to flip it on its back, and it knows that. It knows that, and it's going to fight you. And it's kind of an exorcism between your soul and your ego, and I talk about it all the time. And so when you're about to make massive change, let's say you've decided you're having a really maybe liquid courage. I don't know. You're smoking pot. You're fucking exciting. It's 2:00 in the morning. You book a flight to Portugal, and you're all set. It's next week. You're going, and you're like, oh fuck, I don't know Portuguese. I don't know anyone there. I'm going alone. I've never traveled outside the country. I've never traveled out. I don't know anyone. There's no group. How am I going to do this? Get on the fucking plane. Get on the fucking plane. Go to Portugal. You probably have divine appointments. You're probably going to have an amazing time. You're probably going to be scared when you get off. Yeah, you don't know Portuguese, but that's okay. You know faces. You can intuit who's right and who's wrong in their energetic frequency as they walk towards you. Go to Portugal. What are you going to lose? Eat fabulous seafood? Have a great time? You know? Buy a couple fabulous dresses? Maybe take a lover that's maybe a soulmate that's there to heal your root chakra, and it's just for the weekend. It's just for the week. And I'm not saying, indiscriminately have sex with people. I'm saying, but here comes this amazing man. And watch the movie Shirley Valentine. Shirley Valentine, that's your homework. Agora, Agora, and then Shirley Valentine. Sometimes, and this is not for all women, okay? Sometimes you need a lover that's going to wake your shit up because it's been asleep for a long time. That beautiful yoni, that beautiful womb, that beautiful G-spot has been asleep for years. You never thought it'd be awakened, ever. And suddenly somebody has rung the cathedral bells with just their presence in desiring you. Sometimes that's all you need. It's like a B12 shot to your soul. And that's all you need is to move out of this stagnation. And suddenly everything becomes, my God, Technicolor, and everything sounds amazing. And suddenly you're getting downloads and creative inspirations, and you start a business, or suddenly your business explodes and you're like, what the hell? What's going on? Yeah, because you're in a frequency match to co-creation with the universe, and it's exciting. Life is exciting again. So when you are awakened from your sleep, right? And that's why I love Sleeping Beauty, not because it's a cartoon or whatever, but because it literally shows the prince. I talk about it all the time, but if you've heard this, just be patient with me. The prince is going through, he's hacking away at the brambles, which is the synapses of the brain that's been hardwired to think limited thoughts, right? So he's hacking away through the bramble. He's walking through the castle. Everyone's fucking asleep, right? Everyone's asleep. He goes up the staircase, sees beautiful Princess Sleeping Beauty, kisses her. She wakes up, and the collective, did you get that story? Did you ever really realize what it was saying? And the collective wakes up. So when you wake up, it's a domino effect. When we have a suicide, it's a domino effect. Okay? Because the frequency, the vibration, it's like a wave. Like, think of the ocean. You throw a rock, and there's these rippling waves that hit people you've never met. So when somebody decides to take themselves out, it's a ripple effect. When people go in through the ascension, it's a ripple effect. We are connected in ways that I'm hoping I can actually explain it to you in such a way that you really feel it in every cell of your body. Like you're like, shit. Like how I feel is impacting people around the world in waves. Isn't that exciting? That's exciting. That means that you matter, right? It means that what you have to give to the planet in just being at your highest best self for you, just for you, basically feeds the planet, feeds us collectively. And so it's okay to grieve. It's okay to have your human experience. I have them. You don't think that after some of these lives I don't collapse and cry and I miss the nectar of my... Of course I do. I'm not a robot. But you become a trapezist between 3D and 5D and beyond. And you walk that tightrope from one side of a ravine to the other. And when you make it to the other side, you're fully in 5D. Does that make sense? You've made it. You're like high-fiving people going, fuck, I didn't think. Yeah, I know. It was hard, wasn't it? So that's where we need to get as a collective. And that's why I use the analogy, which is in your face, right? That your grandparents at 50 look like absolute shit, okay? Meanwhile, Tina Turner at 66 is shaking her ass with the best legs on the planet on stage, okay? There was a shift. And I think famous celebrities keeping themselves young, for the purpose of performing, taught the collective that you could look like that at 66. You could do that at 66. Does that make sense? And so now we don't need celebrities anymore. We don't fucking need them. We all agree we don't need them. We're doing our own thing. We're done. But there was a purpose to that, looking up on the stage and having famous people inspire us, you know? And really it was us understanding that the domino effect was, in fact, not a woohoo, yeah, you're being a little too psychobabble new age. No, we've seen it in action. Because you can all look at yourself in the mirror if you're 55 or 65 and go, yeah, I have done no plastic surgery. And I look good. My twin, I remember when he was 66, looked like he was 37 to 40. No plastic surgery, clearly, right? So we have to understand how that works. And now we have to use it for the right reasons. I'm not saying that wasn't the right reasons, but now we have to use it for massive shifts so that the infrastructure that we want, not the one we have, the one we want, the one that will serve our people, the one that will be kind, generous, abundant for all. No caste systems, no billionaires with $177 billion. I still can't wrap my head around this man not having enough fucking sense to roll up his sleeves and go, what can I do with $10 billion this year? What can I do for the planet? The greed, the hoarding mentality is actually so sickening to watch. And yet we've normalized that. Well, you know, he doesn't know anybody. You worked hard. No. It's a responsibility. The universe will hand you a crown, will hand you gold, will hand you psychic abilities. It is your responsibility to be the caretaker and the messenger to the universe, God, however you want to name it. It is not your responsibility to use it for your own ends, for your own greed, for your own avarice, and for your own judgment of looking down at your nose at other people that don't have what you have. It's not how it works. So do you see how powerful we are as the collective? And this is why, you know, when you look at Ronda Burns, the beginning of her Secret, the movie, the documentary, The Secret, what is she saying? She's talking about Thoth's Emerald Tablet. That's the opening scene. And then you see all these men in suits, talking about the 1%, without saying it really, saying that they knew the magic of how to manifest. They knew, but they kept it from us. That's exactly what she says in the opening of The Secret by Rhonda Burns. It's how she opens it visually. It's a beautiful visual opening. It's dramatic. And then she talks to you about how to get a diamond or a bike or whatever. And people never got the message of what she said. Not really. Some of you got the message on a spiritual level, but she used material things because that's where we're at here in this world. You know, which yacht I have, which Rolex can I get? I'm on a waiting list for a Birkin bag. That's where we're at. So she's talking about, here are the material shit you can get if you do this manifesting trick, right? And so we have to learn how to manifest abundance for every single human being without war or famine in it. And that's why I wanted to do this live. And then one of the things you may want to do is either do like a hypnotherapy session, but your job at this point should know when you fell and how you fell. That should be like the epicenter, because once I realized how we fell, me and my twin, and what happened to him, because I fell first and he came to get me. It's a pretty amazing story, but I'll tell you some other time. And he had to pay a high price, which was part of the problem of what separated us for thousands of incarnations. And in this incarnation, because I found out how we fell, and as my brain opened up to more understanding of very, what you would call woohoo, tinfoil hat ideas. I'm just going to call it for what it is. I was able to understand what was needed to do, and I started making prayers and intentions of that problem being removed by God, it's the universe, God, whatever you want to call it. And then when he died, as he was dying, it was important for us to go into this incredible dialogue of forgiveness, self-forgiveness, forgiving others, and letting go. And the final drop of the body got him, boom, into 5D. I mean, he's in 5D 6D consciousness. Or else he would not have been able to come and communicate to me, or my son, by the way. It wouldn't happen. Because he would have been traveling, going through his it was boom, quick. So let me read your comments. Then we'll do an oracle reading to see what the collective has. Okay. Let me see. I want to read all your comments because they look really, really, really interesting. Makes sense. Okay. Love hearing about Atlantis. I hear you. Yes, Cleopatra tomb is supposedly under the sea now. No, it's not supposedly. It is under the sea. They found it. It's right there. It's almost like at the pier, and it drops right there, and there it is. And there's all this stuff because the Romans went after all her commodity, all anything that represented her face. That's why we never really knew how she looked. Yes, they do. Tara, okay, forget it. Agora, name taken by Hinduism. Agora. No, it's not Agora like that. It's Agora. It's I'm gonna write it down. I'm just gonna write down the move. Agora, like that. But there's also all these similarities in all languages anyway. Hindu-European languages, I mean, we know already how connected. That's why when you learn Sanskrit, it is like the root language, right? And will help you with everything, just like Latin helps with Latin language, right? Let me go back. Let me go back. Okay. Clocks and watches stop when I have Reiki. That's interesting. Wow. My Reiki master has technology completely shut down in session and classes. You got a hell of a good Reiki master. I shake. My TF went back to his forced relationship. In Colombia for 7 months, now in Peru, it was absolutely necessary. Muscle money, that's fantastic. Wow, yes, it's amazing when it happens. This timing, I'm actually going to Portugal in 2 weeks. There you go. Perfect timing on hearing this. I have synchronicities when I come on here. That's wild. Tina has passed, or we've jumped timelines again. I'm sorry about that if that's what happened. I'm 54. I'm 45. He's 29. Agora. Okay, good. So any other questions or comments? Does that make sense what I'm saying? If it doesn't resonate with you, I get it. Don't even think I don't. But does it resonate? Hands up, please. Give me a show of hands. Say yes or no. I want to hear it because if it's a no, I'm going to explain it a different way. No, I know she passed. Of course she passed. Of course. I know that. I've been following Tina Turner since the 80s. I know she passed. That's not the point. The point is that when she was alive, that chick has the baddest legs in the planet. And she was way over the age limit that society considered. Those legs were amazing. She had the best legs I've ever seen in my life. Okay? In terms of what I call thoroughbred legs. In terms of muscular legs, there was another woman that had the best legs on the planet. But in terms of thoroughbred, what I call thoroughbred legs, best legs on the planet. I've never seen a woman with legs like that ever. No models, nothing. And she was like in her deep 40s, into her 50s, shaking her ass. I remember watching a concert with Tina Turner with my husband on TV. Okay, I've never gone to a concert. Anyway, so we're watching her. And she's wearing a white shirt and jeans, Levi's jeans, doing her thing. Then she does a costume change, one dress, sequin up to the high thigh, sweating, wild, fucking gorgeous, charisma, magnetic. But then we did, and then just for the hell of it, we looked at Madonna. This was in the mid-90s, okay? And we both looked at the costume change after costume change after costume change we were like, yeah, Tina Turner's the real thing. Madonna's full of shit. That was the day where we basically X'd Madonna out of our consciousness in the 90s, okay? Because we saw what was real talent and what was bullshit. But anyway, on that note, let me look at the other comments. Thank you, though. Yes. Okay, great. Yes. Okay, great. Any no's? And no's is good. Okay, because so now that you know this, now do you see the power that the 1% is afraid? There's an old saying by Napoleon. It was said about the Chinese, okay? And this again, remember 1820s, thereabouts, or 1817, whatever. Napoleon said, when the dragon awakens, the earth will tremble. When the dragon awakens, the earth will tremble. That's what he said about China. Okay, because there was the Opium Wars, all kinds of shit was happening. And missionaries were running into China telling these people who fucking invented silk how to be. Okay, just incredible arrogance, but okay, whatever. It's like, fuck. But anyway, we are the dragon. We are the dragon. And the 1% will tremble. And so they have been doing every which way. So there's the gender wars, the bear in the woods, I'm not saying that men aren't fucking stupid sometimes in a situation, but there are a lot of men that would help you. I've seen a lot of men save women's lives. Let's be honest, save dogs, cats, children. I saw a kid, a little African-American kid, 15 years old. I saw a white man grab a little girl and took his bicycle and pumped and just followed that car and saved that girl's life. Probably saved her life and saved her probably a whole lifetime of trauma, okay? In terms of being, graped, okay? Since we have to use the term of a fruit to describe something very traumatic, but okay. But what I'm going to say is that we need to kind of balance our shit out with the masculine, okay? We need to kind of understand that just like there are very toxic, dangerous women, there are very toxic, dangerous men. We know this. And you might say, well, there are more men than women on that. And I'm not going to argue the point. But what I will say is that there are fantastic men. So they've given us the race wars, right? They started that with the Black Lives Matter and people clashing and all that shit. Then they've got the wars going on in the Middle East. And just they're doing one thing after another, after another, after another, after another to completely throw us off our balance. Plus, they're raising grocery prices, gas prices to throw us off our game by design. And so us building communities is going to be the most important thing. And if you can't build it, visualize it, and the community will form around you. You'll be like, whoa, people that I'm really resonating with who have my own spiritual beliefs are moving into my neighborhood. Wow. Okay, so that's going to happen. But you have to want it. You have to claim it. And so that's why I use these analogies for you. In terms of finding out when you fell, what you could do on your own is try to see if you can do what you might call a guided retrieval meditation. You can do that. And if all else fails, then I highly suggest you do an Akashik reading with me, okay? Or someone you know has got a lot of integrity, a lot of, connection with source and is really global. And I'll tell you why, because I hear sometimes I'll have clients saying, my psychic told me I had 6 incarnations. 6 incarnations? What the fuck are you talking about? You've had thousands of incarnations. What happens when we as psychics download? We'll download 6 lives. 6 important lives. That doesn't mean you've only had 6 lives with your twin, for example. It just means that the universe downloaded through the Akashic reading 6 incarnations that were important over the others. It drives me crazy when these psychics say, oh yeah, this is your second life on Earth. I have to laugh. Because if you're asking questions about the reality of your being and where you came from, this is certainly not your second life on Earth. I'll tell you that right now. You've probably been here a few thousand years at the minimum, and you're sick and tired of the bullshit, and you want to know how to get the fuck out of this hamster wheel, right? A person that's had their second incarnation, and I'm not saying that's not possible, okay? Because there are people that are brand new here, okay? And you can tell, okay? You're deer in the headlights, okay? You can tell. It's like, who's home, right? Is there anyone home? You're not sure. And so they love the Matrix. It's like a pig in a puddle of mud. They love it. But when you've had multiple incarnations on this planet, I can assure you that's not your second rodeo, okay? You've been here 1,000, 2,000. Shit, you were in Atlantis and you saw it fall. You were in Lemuria and you saw the warring factions of the Atlanteans coming into your land. You know, that kind of shit. And you're sick of the bullshit. And now you're coming to seek a psychic to find out, what do I do? Because I really want to ascend and I don't want this anymore. You know, so trying to find someone who gets that, or hypnotherapy, like really. And hopefully, if you tell your soul, show me when I fell, because that's my message to you all today. Show me how I fell, when I fell into 3D. Show me. Now, I'm going to give you another story from Dr. Joe Dispenza's YouTube interview with Lilou Mas. Lilou, Lilou, Mas, M-A-C-E. The way you look it up is Dr. Joe Dispenza, Working with Giants, Lilou Mas. That's how you find this video. It's about 57 minutes long. Please don't be lazy. Watch the whole thing from the beginning to end. Just watch it. There's a scene where he talks about, he works with these titanic giants, light beings, right? And so there's a scene where he talks about how for years, they work with him. I mean, they follow him. They're his, their team, right? And he said people start seeing them, feeling them, seeing them, from the side eye and shit like that. And so one day in what they call this healing room, where I think you have to get a lottery where, you can actually request, it's like a 6-7 day retreat. And you can say, I have kidney issues, or I broke my hip and it's never been right. I barely can walk. And so they do a lottery of who can go into this healing room. And in this healing room, you'll see, at the end of the video, you'll see 2 women talking about their experience. It's mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. It will woohoo you into 5D consciousness and acceptance when you watch that video, because these women are not crazy. But in the video, he says, one day I walked into the healing room and the entity said, can you raise the frequency of this room? Because if we lower our consciousness anymore, we will lose our consciousness. In other words, they were saying, we'll have amnesia, we'll fall, and we won't be able to get out of it. So can you raise the consciousness of this room? Can you raise the vibration of this room? Because we love ourselves too much to lower our frequency anymore. Because if we do, we will lose our consciousness. Paraphrasing to some level. That's extraordinary. And I've shared this with you before, but I will again. When I did the grandfather came to me and said, we really need you all to ascend, because when we come here to come to your level into 3D, we have to go through boulders or rocks, walls, this and that. You've heard me say that before. So literally, I got confirmation that what Dr. Joe Dispenza had experienced with these amazing Titanic-like beings, healers, was what was being said by all the high conscious beings. Yeah, we want you to ascend, because this is wow. Okay, wow. Please, can you come up, please? Because us lowering our frequency, we can fall. So the point of sharing that story of how she fell, I gave her the recipe, because so she fell, right? So what do you do with that, right? So, right? What do you do with that massive traumatic ending, right? She's being torn limb to limb. She's never felt fear. Now she feels fear. And as she's dropping her body, as she's leaving her body in a violent way, fear is riddled. Cortisol. Okay. What do you do with that? So I said to her, I need you to meditate. I need you to go and replay that scene. I've given you details of what happened. I gave her a lot more details than I've given you. And I want you to replay the whole thing, like literally live it again. And now I want you to levitate, because you could levitate, because you were in a 6D you could levitate. Gravity was not an issue for you. But you were so shocked at these people, these monsters coming at you. You were so, like, you were frozen stiff. You know that feeling, women. You've been in those situations where you were in you couldn't move. You couldn't even talk. Okay? That kind of fear. And it came out of nowhere because it was such a foreign feeling. She'd never had it before. I said, so I want you to replay that scene, levitate above them, and literally dissolve them into nothing, and forgive them and forgive yourself. And that will rewrite the script. It's almost an addendum to your Akashik records on how you dropped. And that should change the frequency of this whole being covered over for for 3,000 years since that day occurred. And what's sad to me is that she's tipping into 4D. And a lot of the things that you guys take for granted, like you're listening to me and having your coffee or tea or whatever, and a lot of it you're getting like we're talking about, buying some groceries and getting the laundry done. Like you're getting it like nonchalantly. But you have to understand, every other incarnation they showed me was a lot of trauma into the root chakra and things of that nature, like mass. And I'm not going to go into her whole thing because it's private, right? But that was important for you. Okay, that was a very important download. And so you now, what you need to do is find out when you fell, and then recode it. You got to recode it. It's kind of like getting a virus in your computer, right? What would you do? There's a software that comes and cleans up the virus, right? So the virus is when we fell. Does that make sense? That's going to be very important for your progression in the ascension. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions or comments? Thank you, Rachel. Okay, any other comments or questions? No, you're good? Okay, so I'm going to do an oracle reading, okay? And then I'm selling some shaman drums because I need to I've decided to take my beautiful twin to Ireland. So I'm gonna raise money to go to Ireland to scatter his ashes in Ireland. So I'm selling some shaman drums, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and put pictures of them and put them on I wish I could show them now, but on TikTok. And if you're interested, you can just message me, and then part of the reason why I'm doing that, if you're interested, I'll tell you. If not, I'll just do the oracle reading. But if you're interested, I'll explain to you maybe on another live as to why that's important. Okay, why that is very important to take him back to that land. Okay, and why I would do that, because that's a big deal to do that. But any questions or comments? Okay, so we're gonna go to the Earth Oracle. Thank you, I appreciate it. Earth Warriors Oracle, and you know the drill: top, bottom, or middle. When you're ready. Top. We got top. Okay. Oh my God, we got this card before. Let me look at something else. You're all saying top, and there's a middle. Okay. I'm going to take a middle, and I'll tell you why. Because we got this card before, but I'm going to read it anyway, because there must be a message for someone. Maybe you didn't get the first message. But it's called 25, which is 7, which is the journey. And 25 in Kabbalah numerology is an analysis, discrimination, meaning you learn the lesson, spiritual lesson, 3D, brick and mortar lesson, and you move on. You learn. You don't repeat mistakes. You learn. So this is good. So 7 is the journey, and I'm pulling out the middle, and the middle is 40, and it's he aka. So sorceress of light. So let's go with 25 first, and 40 is taking on karma. 40 is the number. 4 is the number of the volunteer. Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and look at 25. And let's do it. Okay. And you're not going to believe this. Yeah, this is amazing. Let me just read it to you out loud. Blessings of the Supreme Being. Aloha ke akua. Hawaiian wisdom recognizes that the divine is love. The Supreme Being from which all life emanates and manifests a blessing for you. The realm of the heart is love's temple. When you enter the heart, you gain access to the Great One and to mana, the power, authority, grace, and magnetism to manifest your divine destiny. Trust in what is meant for you. Surrender doubt and disconnection in favor of love and respect for the Great One. And you shall live your true destiny with joy in your heart. Love can and will conquer all. In a reading, a blessing is coming to you now. Things do not need to be complicated. When you're confusing yourself with too many variables, too much information, fear and doubt, focus heart. Hang on, I'm trying to focus on filling your heart with love and let everything else go. When you open your heart to divine guidance and let go with faith, Spirit will handle all matters in your life. Rather than making you passive, this will inspire you to take only the most helpful actions. This oracle indicates an answered prayer, and that Spirit has you covered in a situation of concern. You are healing and deepening your relationship with the divine. Okay, I'm going to go right, there's more, but I'm going to go right into 40 because I want to make sure we cover that. And again, this is from the Oracle deck by Alana Fairchild, Earth Warriors. All right, let me look. Okay, 40, Sorceress of Light. No enemy shall defeat you, not by night, nor by day, not upon the earth, nor the soul. Okay, you know how people in the spiritual community are talking about how souls can be trapped? Souls can be bottled up like a genie, shit like that. Yeah, these fear tactics are done by darker forces, okay? Your soul is autonomous, and it is divinely protected by God, the one of 1,000 names, okay? So you need to really know that you are immortal and you are unshackable. You are the only time we can be imprisoned is in these 3D bodies, right? And but yet we're being taught that even that could be eradicated, right? From what we're going through as the ascension progresses. So you shall fulfill your destiny with joy in your heart and laughter in your belly. Play in nature. Feel the freedom of happiness within you, even in this moment. These are your sacred powers, and with them you shall take every step upon your journey successfully, and nothing shall thwart your divine destiny. In a reading, ask for healing, mentoring, or assistance to support you now. This support will help you feel stronger and more empowered to deal with any challenge and be reassured that your spirit can handle it. There's a spiritual protection for you now as you follow the guidance to explore conscious movement and creative self-expression. This can stir up old energy, releasing it from you and allowing vital presence to take hold within you. You are going through an initiation. Did you hear that? You're going through an initiation, and that could make it that your body shakes, that you start trembling in fear because you are about to make a massive transformation. And fear is always a heralder of massive transformation. Take time to dance, sing, drum, and affirm your aliveness with joy and courage. Become spiritually bolder in the face of anything that attempts to diminish you. Have faith in the power of the divine being, the supreme power. You are watched over by love. And you are. You are. So, oh, good. Listening while I work. I swear heart coherence is big right now. All about the heart right now. 4 is my TF number. How cool is that? Any questions or comments? This was good, wasn't it? So I wanted to thank you for being here. I hope the message today was important to you. I know I'm excited by that message. That like so excited about that. How did we fall? Pinpoint that. Rewrite the Akashic records on that story so that you can basically release yourself from that looping vibrational story that no longer it needs to be. It doesn't need to be part of your life. You know what I mean? Okay. Any questions? Any shares? Does anybody want to share anything? Katie, it's good to see you. All right, so I'm going to leave you with this. 27, God's number, the scepter, which is beautiful. I love that. I will upload this video on YouTube. Please share this video. This particular video means a lot to me because it really maps it out, doesn't it? It maps it out. And every time I do these Akashic readings or hypnotherapy sessions, I am shook into another level. When I have clients, just know this, you might think I teach you. No, when I work with clients, they teach me by simply surrendering to me and allowing me to walk beside them as they open up. That just, I'm like blown away. And I have to very gently spoon feed them. But I have to tell you with this woman, I had to say, I hate to say this to you. I can't spoon feed you. I got to shove this down. I need you to hurry. I need you to read this. I need you to hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. You've got to hurry up. You're too important to this collective ascension. There are twins that I work with that are in separation, and they are massively important. I just talked to you about the domino effect. When a twin unalivens themselves, I hate that word, but I have to use it for this purpose. When they take themselves out with massive self-hate and impulsivity and despair, the domino effect was felt in 2023 when we have more twin flame masculines taking themselves out. It is a real thing. So when the domino effect of ascension and acceptance and embracing new knowledge that shakes you up. It shakes, again, the foundation of what we've stood on for thousands of years, the collective foundation of fuckery and lies and subjugation we're having an earthquake beneath our feet. There's no doubt. And there will be nothing beneath our feet, but we will not fall. We will levitate, ascend. And that's what you need to understand. Okay? All right, my loves. Thank you so much. Yes, we are. I love that. Sending you much love on your journey. I'll bring this up to your thing. I'm trying to love him unconditionally from a distance. He's not in a good place. Re-listen to what I'm saying. Listen to some of my other videos so that maybe you can get downloads of particular guidance for your situation. Does that make sense? Let's go. Like find out, like go more into it. Maybe some of my videos I came hella late, can't wait to watch later. Yeah, you're going to love this one. This one, like, I love this one. I will, thank you. Yeah, try to do that, okay, to see. Because, and again, she came in thinking, just so you know, on the backdrop of this woman's story, she came in, I've had 2 clients who came in, and they come in 3s, okay, usually, thinking it was a twin flame, and it wasn't. It was not a twin flame. People will think, oh, well, my twin flame and I have this amazing sex. Good. You were lovers. You've been soulmates. You've had sex all over the place in different planets, in different realms, right? Of course, you know how to hit your buttons. But twin flame sex is beyond description in mortal words. And twin flame synchronicities, there's all kinds of things that need to happen for it to be a twin flame, for us to confirm it's a twin flame, for us to all agree it's a twin flame. And when there's one part, but not all the other parts, then, and it doesn't show up in a reading, then it's not a twin flame. It's sometimes a high-level soulmate, sometimes it's a soulmate, sometimes it's just a looping karmic, lesson. And so, one day I'll tell you in details one of my stories of what was taught to me through actual experience that showed me how some people, to make me understand how some of you guys out there or friends of yours have obsessions that are linked to past lives that will feel to them like a twin flame. But in the brass tacks of like breaking it down numerologically speaking and all the things that I do, it'll come out fucking empty because it's not a twin flame. And to this day, he's gone, right? He's technically physically gone. I'm still seeing his numbers. Still seeing his numbers everywhere. And that's one of the twin flame signs. And the ability to communicate with my twin, even transformed in a transformed situation, that's another sign of a twin flame. Because in a high-level soulmate, when the contract is done, they may come in to say thank you, or they may come in to, let you know things are good, it's all good, I forgive you, you forgive me, we're good. But they don't come in on a daily, okay? That's a massive connection. When a high-level soulmate comes in on a daily, it's because they know you need your support, but it's different. And I don't want to get too detailed about how different it can be, because it's also a sexual difference, even on a spiritual level. And you're not going to feel that with your high-level soulmate or a soulmate. Again, only twins understand that. These nuances are so... There is not a language on the planet, on this planet, to describe what a twin is. And how it feels. And again, the synchronicities are there, but people refuse to believe it. They just feel like because they're getting their nookie and it's the best sex they've ever had and the orgasms are off the charts, that's a twin. No, that's not always a twin. There's a lot more for a twin to be a twin. And that's important to note. Okay? So, any questions or like, what are your thoughts on that? Okay. Any questions or comments on that? No? All right. Well, I want to, again, thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate you. I'll go ahead and upload this live. I think I'm going to title it, Find Out How You Fell. How do I pay to get a mini? You can go on my website, on my link tree. There's my website. I'll say TF readings and things of that nature on my website, on my link tree, on my profile. And then you'll be able to fill out an intake form, but you can also go directly to my website, which I'll answer here. I'll answer it directly to you. You can go on tonybarca.com, which will take you to Sacred Womb Temple Healing, right? And then you can fill out the intake form, and I can do, but I don't do mini readings, like mini, because I charge $108 for a 1 hour reading. I charge $162 for a 70-minute reading. You're getting 70 minutes from me. I'm doing 20 minutes meditation for the Akashik record, so it's 162. And to be honest with you, you're better off doing a real reading to find out, because a mini reading, like a 5-minute reading, 10-minute reading, 15, it's not going to tell you. It's not enough. We are excavating. You didn't excavate Egypt in 10 minutes. It took years. So I need an hour. Does that make sense? And I'm not rejecting you. I'm just saying that's how I do it. And I would rather you wait and until you could do it correctly. And then, of course, record it. Do you still communicate telepathically? Yes, of course. That's what I was saying. I communicate every day. Okay, because I need guidance urgently if possible. Oh, guidance. Okay. But guidance I'll do, no problem. But in terms of you telling me to tell you if it's a twin on a 15-minute reading or 30 minute, no, I'm not doing it. I'd rather say no to you. And hopefully you're not going to run to another cycle, say, oh yeah, you're twins because I saw the King and Queen of Cups. So you're twins now. That makes you a twin. Yeah, bullshit. There's a lot more that goes into it. But if you want guidance as to what the energy and tapping into him or her, into whatever that, yeah, I can do that. That's not a problem. But I'm not calling him a twin because I don't want to seed you any further until I know it's a twin. You know what I mean? I'm 80%. I'm going to say this. I'm 80% accurate on that. 80%. 20%, because no one's infallible. Let's be honest. And sometimes, I'm going to tell you, I remember when I had a client, I said, that's not a twin. And then we did another reading and I went, holy fuck. She went, what? You're twin rays. And that's when I realized she wasn't a twin flame. I was asking the wrong question. She was a twin ray. So with her twin. So, there you go. So I now ask all kinds of questions. I don't judge. I'm not going to judge a person and go, yeah, there's no way they're a twin ray. Who am I to fucking judge that? So my job is to make sure I cover all the bases, to make sure, okay, because my guides, I need to be specific in my questions. So that's why I guide people to, while I ask the question, you're asking the question in the same sort of framework, and it needs to be specific, okay? And then you get the answer. I'll give you an example, which is really my own, thing. So I have a passion for Ireland, right? And I remember throwing cards when I was very young, and I really wanted to be married to an Irishman. It was just my thing, okay? Just everyone has something. And that was mine. And I kept saying, will I marry a man from Ireland who is Irish, right? Who was born in Ireland? And the answer was no. And okay. And I threw again, will I be with an Irishman born in America? Yes. And I kept doing it again and again and again and again. It was no on the born in Ireland, yes, an American Irishman. Well, my twin is American Irish. And what was interesting is that the cards wouldn't change. It didn't give a fuck what I wanted. It was going to tell me what I needed to hear. So it's the same. When I was asking my son, will we buy a house in California? It was no. And I would ask him again, can you do it, Mom? It's a no. It's going to be a no. It'll be no next year. It'll be a no. And it was a no. It was New York. So my point is, when these kinds of readings are easy to do, but in terms of like finding out if it's a twin, yeah, that's an excavation. Does that make sense? So I hope these examples helped so you can understand how I read. And not to mention, I have a couple videos that explain how I read. That's me. I absolutely agree. Rudy Giuliano figured that shit out. Rudy Giuliani. What is a twin ray? I have all kinds of videos on that. Look at my lives. Hey, Tony, if I wanted to just gift for a quick yes or no, would that help? No, I don't do those. Because I need to hear your voice. I need to hear your vibration. And I don't believe in these yes and no, because that's bullshit. That's like, it's bullshit. I don't know why people do that. I think, to be fair to my psychic sisters and brothers, I know they mean well. And I know of some psychic sisters and brothers that will never hear your voice. You will email them your question. They have the balls to ask you for $150 and they've never picked up the phone, never heard your voice. So all they have is an email, your name, your date of birth. Hopefully, at least they got that, the name of your person. And then they send you back a video on that, on a reading. I think that's bullshit. Because you need to sit and hear the person on the phone and doing a live read with them, because there are nuances that are going to happen. And so these readings where you get a pre-recorded reading is a mechanical aspect of tarot. But it's not going to give you all of the nuances that you need to receive on the spot. And that's why I tell people, go ahead and record my readings with you, because then you can see it again and hear it again and get a sense of what happened and how this resonates. And, oh, I missed that point. Oh, my God, I totally missed what she was saying on that. Holy shit, that's amazing. Or that's clarifying for me. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I totally push people to record their own sessions with me, but pre-recorded sessions, and I've never heard your voice. I'm sorry. No. Because I get a lot of data from your voice. I get a lot of intel from your voice. Just your voice. Okay? So does that make sense? And I won't do that. Now, if I did numerology, I used to do a numerology, what I call a numerology clinic. And I would do the numerology on lives for like for a fee of $15 to $20. I can't fuck that up. I don't need to hear your voice. It's numbers. They don't lie. It's like 2 + 2 = 4. We're good. I'm not going to harm you because what I'm telling you is on the mark. And people were blown away at how accurate that shit is because it's numbers. It's numerology. So on that, I'll do. But in terms of anything else, no, it's a no. And that's why numerology for me was easy, because I could feel like I was still in my light. I was still offering massive integrity to, and I wasn't going to harm you in any way by bullshitting you. And I was going to tell you pure facts, mathematical facts that would not deviate whether or not we picked up the phone and talked or not. That's different for me. And that's how I roll personally in this realm of spiritual guiding other people, because I don't want to harm anyone. I don't want to throw them off the track. I don't want to give them the wrong intel. Does that make sense? Because when I'm filtering through your voice, I'm getting vibrational messages, light codes from you just by hearing your voice. Maybe that's not for everyone, but that's how I have to make sure that I don't incur. And by the way, there's a selfish reason for that. It's so I don't incur karma by hurting someone. Even unintentionally is still a karma that's incurred. You know, that's why, not to mention, when I'm about to book, I pre-book calls. That means I could have a calandria where you guys just throw me money and no, I pre-book calls. I call people and we talk for 10 minutes, 13 minutes, whatever, 15, 20 minutes to find out if this is a match. Am I good for you? And I have rejected clients, potential clients. I've said, it's not you. I don't think I'm good for you. I think I'm not a match for you. I'll give you an example. I had a woman who was a devout Jewish woman who was in love with a devout Muslim man. But she really thought that tarot was witchcraft. So clearly I didn't take her on. And I kept telling her, I'm not doing it. And so I said, when you can actually, wrap your head around the benefits and you can do this guilt-free and fearlessly, then I'll do it. But until then, no, it's a no. And so she waited a month and eventually called me back and said, I really want to do this. And her vibration and her voice was fearless. And at that point I said, okay, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? But I won't this is not for entertainment purposes, okay? This is not what I do. This is to help you align yourself with your soul and shit you've forgotten from probably hundreds of thousands of years of incarnations in different realities, different dimensions. And my job is just to make sure you remember, not just remember your twin and why this is happening, separations, whatever, but also what is happening to you sexually, how it's impacting your ascension. It's a lot more. I'm not your basic tarot reader, I guess I could say that. I just am not. So it's a little different. I will book when I get paid again. I respect that. Good. I'm glad. Love the numerology live. I'll do them again because we were doing like Marie Antoinette. You sure have helped me. Oh, good. I'm glad, James. You're amazing. You're my unicorn. I'll do the numerology lives again because especially since you love them and they're fun, because we did Marie Antoinette, which is shocking. We did Jim Morrison and Pamela, his lover, his twin flame. It was obvious they were twins. We did Liz Taylor and Richard Burton was like incredible, like shook, like blown. So we can do it again, and we do famous people just to start it, to warm up the room. And then suddenly people come in and say, can I buy, can you do my numerology and my twins? And then I do it alive, right? So that is, if you liked it, if you guys want me to do that again, thank you, Jen Star. I'll look it up. I'm ready to book hypnotherapy when you are. Oh, that's so cool. I'm so honored, Jennifer. I'd love to. Yeah, so I have to look. I'm looking at booking starting the second week of August, because I still have to clean up. I turned my beloved's room, it looked like something on Nepal. I set it up like Nepal. And you'll see one of my videos where I show the room. But I've cleaned up. So the meditation room has been established. It's called the Anandagati meditation room. My son hangs out here and does his thing. The animals all hang out here. So it's a very healing room. The rest of the place is a fucking nightmare. Boxes everywhere, shit everywhere. It's a bloody nightmare. So I got to kind of like, for me to be able to think straight, I got to do some hypnotherapy. For me is like really incredible. And I probably will actually set up my hypnotherapy sessions to do in the meditation room, because it is such a great space. So I'll do that. But meanwhile, I have to kind of clean up some things and put things in order and, get the show on the road. And I'll tell you something. Sometimes his nickname for me was Miss Paris, because I was born in Paris. So his name was Talia Paris. I had a nickname, a whole very complex. And so I hear him calling me Miss Paris. Stop with the bullshit. Get on with it. And so, yeah, we're telepathically communicating all the time. And I've been running up this hill, and I'm probably going to be gearing up for a fast at some point. But I'm really excited to do hypnotherapy sessions, because a lot of you, probably 80 to 90% of you are starseeds, which means you were born and you had most of your incarnations on a planet until you came here. And then, the amnesia set in, that was it. And so spiritual, dementia is what I call it. So we need to get out of that. And hypnotherapy is such an amazing tool to recapitulate things long lost, to start you back on a new path, on a new path to you releasing a lot of things, or remembering. Like one of my favorite stories in one hypnotherapy session, it was like 3,600 years ago, 3,700 somewhere. And it was, I don't know if it was Greece or Rome. And I never found out, by the way, neither could the client figure it out. But she was born in a village that was definitely like, they were wearing togas and robes and skirts, and you know what I'm saying? It was Europe, and it was thousands of years ago, and she fell in love with this man, and the pressure to do what her family, her grandmother, the village wanted her to do, which was clearly not to marry that man. So she did the incredible, courageous thing to run away and to marry him. And she had an amazing life. They had children. They were happy. It was an incredibly life filled with just nectar, just bliss. Okay. And I asked her the strangest question. I said, how did this impact the generations after? She goes, it impacted 5 generations after, and they all knew to follow their heart and then it ended. Obviously 5 generations, right? And I said to her, so what does that mean to you today? She goes, I'm not following my heart. I'm doing what people want me to do. I'm doing what they expect me to do. There's none of the things I'm doing do I really want to do. I go, well, there's your lesson. There's your answer. So you were a soul who followed her heart at a time when to do that would have been, because she lost her family. She never spoke to her grandmother, never spoke to her mother, never spoke to the villages, never went back, just walked away from that consciousness and created a world that was magical. And I said, so what does that mean? It means I got to do what I got to do for me. And eventually the people who I love will benefit from those choices. Because if it's heartfelt for me and I'm making a heartfelt decision, it will impact beautifully the people I love. And that's the truth. And that, again, that was from a hypnotherapy session. There was all kinds of other things, a past life in another planet, things like that. But that life, wow, that was amazing to me. Okay, message me when you're ready. We'll set a date. Yes, I would like to figure out which I need to book. Well, when we talk, this is why we do the pre-book call, is we talk about all of these options. We talk about what you're going through, and then we decide. You decide, not me. You decide what you need first, and then we go from there. Okay, so that's why I do these pre-calls, And just be prepared to at least have 20 minutes to talk to me, and we chat. Maybe I'm driving. By the time you and I connect or whatever, I'm running an errand driving, or you're grocery shop, whatever. It all works out. And we get to connect, and we get to talk about what's driving you, what are you questioning, what do you want to take away from, what's your end goal, and what are your fears in actually understanding the truth of this incarnation that you're experiencing. What are your fears about it? What do you think will happen if you become completely enlightened into yourself? Things of that nature. Does that make sense? Yeah, I'm excited. Every time I meet a client, I'm so excited because the universe has brought you to me, and I feel very honored. And I'm tearing up because I feel so honored that you guys trust me. And it just blows me away. So when a person is brought to me, I take it very seriously. I am in other words, I'm a servant to I don't want to say to God or whatever. It sounds so weird, but I'm a servant, right? And I serve the collective. And my job is to make sure that I tell you the absolute truth. So I won't bullshit you, and I'll say, look, I'm going to be blunt now. I'll warn you before I am blunt. And there's a great scene in the movie, The Long Kiss Goodnight. One of my favorite movies, The Long Kiss Goodnight. Look it up. There's a scene where she she's dyed her hair blonde. She doesn't know it's a fucking kick-ass movie. If you like Thelma and Louise, you'll love The Long Kiss Goodnight with Samuel L. Jackson, and I forgot her name in Thelma and Louise. I think she was Thelma or Louise. It wasn't Susan Sarandon. It was the other actress. Anyway, there's a scene where she's all, Miss Apple Pie America and blah, blah, and suddenly something happens. She had amnesia. She hit her head. She forgets that she's a cold-blooded assassin, right? And something happens where she remembers, and she dyes her hair blonde, bleaches it, blah, 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 comes out with black eyeliner, the whole bit. And Samuel L. Jackson has a wound, and it's bleeding. It's sopping through the bandages. And they're in a very shaggy 1970s style Las Vegas cheap-ass hotel, right? And so she walks up to him. She's got a cigarette in her mouth tightly. And she opens her robe to show him her, tits, and then rips off the bandage. He's like, and it's called Pop Goes the Weasel. And she says, yeah, I just wanted to distract you so we could take it off. So I take off the bandage. And it's in a way, that's what we need to do spiritually. Sometimes we have to, we got to rip it off. We can't just take it off because it's a lot more painful to take it off inch by inch while we're ripping away scab and we're ripping away hair. And we need to just rip off the bandage and let it ooze. And then we clean it and rebandage it. And that's what we have to do in a spiritual awakening. We have to just get shit done. And the urgency of this timeline right now is extraordinary. Because if you listen back to my live, if you go back to the beginning of this live, because you're going to hear it if you're listening to the pre-recording, is when I have a man who is definitely 3D, feeling this urgency, feeling this palpitation going on, and he can't put a name to it, and us in the spiritual community are feeling it too, yeah. We're in a massive, probably one of the most important crossroad moment, not since Atlantis have we been there. So this is an exciting time. This is exciting. All right. So I want to love you all, and I want to send you my blessings. Do some heart chakra, work on all your chakras, spend a little time more on your heart chakra today. Ask yourself questions, see how your heart feels. Practice heart coherence. If it feels light, the answer is yes. If it's neutral, more information has to happen. If it feels dense, it's a no. It's a hell no. And so I want you to do that perhaps sometime today, in your 7-minute, 10-minute break, and give yourself that gift of pranayama breathing, going into your chakras, working on them, settling into your heart, and then moving on to the rest of your chakras, okay? All right, sending you much love on your journey. Namaste.